Are we good to go now? Okay, calling to order the AdHoc Subcommittee meeting on Thursday, December the 1st, 2022. Ms. Mitchell, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Baker.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Dean.
Here.
Councilmember Villani.
Here. Do we have an approval of the agenda?
Motion approved.
Support?
Dean.
Yes.
Villani.
Yes.
Baker.
Yes.
We are at the public comments section of the meeting. If you'd like to comment on an item not on the agenda,
Yes.
please state your name, city of residence. You'll have 3 minutes. You know the drill.
Charles Terrell, Berkley. First is a question: is this meeting being recorded, and will it be available through our normal recorded meetings channels? And secondly, we do have a quorum of council here in attendance at this meeting. So Open Meetings Act and all that kind of fun stuff that comes from having a quorum of council here. It's no longer just an ad hoc committee meeting. This is now a meeting of council, being that you have a quorum of council.
Okay, first question, the audio portion is being recorded. There is no video recording of the meeting. Secondly, Councilmember Hennon is present here as a citizen resident of Berkeley. He is not voting or scoring anything. The ad hoc committee is scoring, so.
That's not how open meetings works.
Well, Mr.
Open
Baumgart.
meetings-
I can follow up with you on a full explanation with Mr. Skinner, but we can proceed.
What?
Thank you. We move on to our order of business. Ms. Mitchell, will you please read item number 1 on our regular agenda?
Discussion, matter of the Berkeley City Council Ad Hoc Subcommittee reviewing and numerically scoring applications to determine which candidates will be invited to interview for the vacant city council seat.
Is there a motion to approve? Do we have to approve the discussion?
No.
No? Okay, we just discussed. Mr. Baumgart, I'm going to throw that over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the subcommittee comes here today is under the auspices of the council's rules and procedures as adopted actually at our most recent full city council meeting. The task before the committee today is to review the applications. You will provide a numerical score based on the 3 sections of criteria as in the score sheet, in the provided materials, as well as in the rules and procedures themselves. So you'll review each individual, you will review the application materials, you will put a score sheet down, you will put that on your own score sheet. Scores won't be discussed out loud. Attributes, materials that you think apply to the category may be discussed out loud, but ultimately each individual on the subcommittee applies their own score. There's not an aggregated score in the course of this meeting. The deliverable from this meeting is that those score sheets will be submitted to myself. I will be the one to average those scores. Those will be reported back to the full council and then to the applicants themselves. The top 5 scoring individuals coming out of this meeting today will be specifically invited to appear on December 5th to give a presentation to council, although it should be noted that any applicant will have the opportunity after the 5 go to make a presentation should they so choose. At that point, no other action from council will happen on Monday, but council members are fully able to open up and talk to different applicants throughout that 2-week period. Ultimately, on the 19th is when council will come together and move through the last portions of the adopted rules and procedures, in which they would all put forth their preferred candidates. A straw poll, if you will be taken, and that process will be repeated until there is a single candidate who then will receive the appointment of council. The appointment of council here is what we need to have done within 30 days. The swear-in, the seating can come later, but the 30-day period, the council should come out on the 19th with an appointment in order to satisfy the 30-day period that really began on the 21st of November when you acted upon the resignation of Ms. Price.
Thank you. Okay, any questions? We good? Okay. So, I guess I should open public comments for the agenda item before we begin. Seeing none, we're going to jump right in then. I would like to say first that we've received many applications, and I'm blown away by the abundance of talent and skills of our residents, and that they're willing to share those gifts with us in the form of service to our community and the council. So thank you all for stepping up and applying. As we go through the applicants, I'm going through them alphabetically. We'll take a couple of minutes to look at their applications and resumes. We'll go through them step by step, giving a few minutes to each. We have 12 to get through. We have the room for an hour and a half. So with that, I will start with the first one. That is Mr. Clarence Black. From his application, I'm just going to summarize a bit. He has extensive military service, and he is active in community service in Berkley and beyond. He's got a lot of skills in leadership, sales, broadcasting, writing, contract negotiation, logistics, problem solving, team building. He also, he and his wife serve on the Berkley African American Parent Network. He's got 3 girls at Berkley High School. And he and his wife were recently guest speakers at a Veterans Day program at Anderson Middle School. Councilmember Baker or Councilmember Villani, do you have anything that you would like to add? Anything that I have missed?
Thank you, Your Honor. I think you did a great job summarizing his experience. Certainly, Mr. Black does bring a lot of diversity to the council in terms of his background and experience and the ways in which he engages with our community and the surrounding regions. So that's what I've noted as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Councilmember Villani, anything to add?
No, agreed with Councilmember Baker in your summary. Also noted that he volunteered at our Pride Block party, so looks like they're at least keeping a pulse
Okay,
in the city.
thank you. So we're going to take a couple minutes, score the score, and we'll move on to the next applicant. Are you set to move on? Okay, the next applicant is Michael Dooley. Michael has been a resident of Berkley for 33 years. Mr. Dooley says that he has had the pleasure of serving the families of our city for 22 years. He's past president and current board member of the Berkley Dads Club, which is a large community organization. He has strength in operations, and he's also serving on the Parks and Rec Advisory Board for the second time. Councilmember Baker, anything to add?
Nope, I didn't notice a resume attached to this. I wasn't sure if that was an omission or if that's still out there someplace, but that would certainly have been helpful to learn a bit more about his background. But, okay, great. Just wanted to see
Okay,
if there
just
was
want to make sure we...
process check.
Okay,
Yeah. Great, thank you.
sure, thank you. Councilmember Villani, anything?
Same question.
Okay, then let's score. Eric McDonald is the next on our list. Mr. McDonald has lived in Berkley for 10 years. He is currently retired from the Wayne County Sheriff's Office, where he served for 32 years, but is self-employed as a builder in the city of Berkley. He is also a member of the Berkley American Legion. He brings management duties, business experience, as well as he's currently serving on the Berkley Zoning Board of Appeals, so there's that service to our community and expertise as well. He does have a long history in public service and has shown dedication to Berkley as well. He was vice president of the Police Supervisors AFSCME Union Local 3317, serving for 5 years. Councilmember Villani, anything you would like to add?
So he's been on zoning for a few years. He's a builder. I'm assuming he's a licensed builder.
Yes,
with
it's
the city.
it's
We're all set
licensed
there.
builder,
Done.
yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yep. Done for me.
Okay.
Yep,
Councilmember.
I had that same question, and again, very impressive, set of credentials through his service with the Public Safety Police Department.
Yeah, thank you. Go ahead. Okay, our next applicant is Amna Rizvi Toner. According to Ms. Rizvi Toner, she and her husband had never heard of Berkley till they bought their first home here about 2 years ago. But she loves it here. She has previously applied to serve on both the library board and planning commission. What she brings, looking at her resume, she has a lot of experience in academia, research. She was a clinical pharmacology volunteer, and she was a campaign volunteer for House District 5. Councilmember Baker or Councilmember Valani, anything to add?
She mentioned she's applied to serve. Has
Yeah.
she actually served on the board or planning commission?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Correct, yeah, I agree with that, and I did, noticed that she volunteered to organize events in the community to help people with, learn more about certain issues and things, so I appreciate that. She's had that ability to stand up and lead and organize events to teach folks stuff, so I thought that was cool, yeah.
Anything else? Okay. Our next applicant is Kenneth Rosal. Mr. Rosal has lived in Berkley for 1 year. He is a functional safety manager at Ricardo PLC.
We'll want to come back to Mr. Robinson at some point, right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm like, oh.
I'm out of
that's the
order.
Okay.
Let me go
Well,
back.
you're not out of order.
I'm not out of order. My alphabetization went sideways for a minute. Okay, so I just want to make sure we have gone now to Mr. Jacob Robinson, and Mr. Rosa will come after him. So thank you for pointing that out.
Sure, of course.
Mr. Robinson has lived in Berkley for, this is 3 to 4 years. According to Mr. Robinson, he and his husband purchased their first home in Berkley about 4 years ago. He is currently employed by Teach for America Detroit, and he's a managing director, strategic initiatives and network strength. Mr. Robinson has, according to Mr. Robinson, he strives to build an inclusive community. He's joined the Citizens Engagement Advisory Committee and volunteered for Berkley Pride. And he also was a planner for their annual block party. He became elected as an Oakland County Democratic delegate as well. I'm not sure when, but he does list that as a qualification for his appointment. He cites his strengths as engaging regularly with the type of responsibilities a council member must engage with, such as budgeting, contracts, day-to-day operations, detailed memos and agreements, while also weighing public will, liability, and legal responsibility. Anything you would like to add, Councilmember Baker?
Thank you, Your Honor. I think that was a great summary. I made note of those same highlights as well.
Okay, Councilmember Valani?
While I am not the official CEAC chair, they did merge with TAC for several meetings. So I do know that he is a newer member of that committee there.
Thank you. Now. So I'm just going to begin again. Mr. Rosal has lived in Berkley for 1 year. He is a functional safety manager employed by Ricardo PLC. He lists his qualifications. I'm just going to summarize that he has a necessity to deal with different situations and to articulate decisions that are made. He does not appear to have listed any community involvement in the city of Berkley. But Councilmember Baker or Valani, if you see something that I missed.
My question was, his resume still states that he's a Harper Woods resident?
I noticed that as well.
Yeah.
So do we know, like, is this a long year, a couple months, up to a year?
His address on the application form is
Right.
stated as Berkeley, so maybe the resume just, that was an oversight
Okay.
in the paperwork, but, yeah, I spotted that as well.
Anything else to add?
Nothing else,
Mhm.
no.
Okay. Thank you. Next applicant is Cameron Rye. Mr. Rye has lived in Berkeley for 9 years. He is a senior developer at Fortis. His resume made my head spin. It's very technical.
Yes.
He's webmaster, senior web developer, senior developer. He's got a lot of technical experience
Yes.
there. Mr. Wright also is an alumnus of the Berkeley Public Safety Citizens Academy and a member of the group that the mayor put together to study adding a community center to Berkeley. And in 2019, he was the volunteer coordinator for Natalie Price's campaign for Berkeley City Council, and he cites that as giving him an idea of the enormous amount of work it takes to run a successful campaign for public office. He believes that he's qualified to have a position on city council because he has a good understanding of local government and the law. He has knowledge of the issues and challenges facing the community. He has excellent communication and public speaking skills. He cites his ability to work collaboratively with other council members as a plus. He also believes he has the capability to analyze data and make informed decisions. He has a commitment to serving the public. He has the capacity to manage projects and organize resources, and he is dedicated to ethics and transparency. Councilmember Baker, anything you wish to add?
No, thank you. Good summary. And indeed, I understand most of the gobbledygook in the resume.
You would, yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's impressive, yeah.
Okay. Councilmember Rowe.
It's gobbledygook to me, but I do understand that it is impressive gobbledygook,
Yes.
so
More
Okay.
gobble than gook. I think.
There we go. All right.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, the next applicant, Josh Stapp. Mr. Stapp has lived in Berkeley for 2.5 years. He's an attorney with Collins, Einhorn, and Farrell, PC. He and his family moved to Berkeley a little over 2 years ago. And while they love Berkeley, I don't see any community service in the city as of yet. But he's passionate about public service and believes that his skills as an attorney would work well in the city council and making him a natural fit.
No, that's good. Again, I did notice that at least in the materials provided, there seemed to be missing a resume. Again, maybe
Correct.
that just was an oversight on the applicant's part. So. But good, thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Valani, anything you would like to
Same
add?
observation, just limited information here.
Okay, thank you. Okay, our next applicant is Stacy Stevens. Ms. Stevens has been a resident of Berkley since 2008. She is the Director of Programs for Michigan Roundtable for Diversity and Inclusion. She says that she's been engaged in civic participation and community organizing for over 20 years. And since moving to Berkley and she began working with the Roundtable, she's been supporting community organizing work across the region. She states that she participated in a, quote, citizen planning committee, unquote, for the city of Berkley. I did reach out to City Manager Baumgarten to ask what exactly that committee was, and he reached out to the applicant to clarify that, and it was a 2012 Citizens Advisory Committee to study a possible Headley override. So it's just the term citizen planning committee just was rather nebulous, and I didn't want to mistakenly believe that she was at one point on planning, so we got that clarification. Ms. Stevens has been, she believes in civic participation as a form of building and maintaining free and democratic societies where all people have a right to live to their fullest potential. So, anything to add?
Nothing above that. I am glad that you clarified. I did vaguely remember the name from that committee.
Okay.
You know, as the Grussled old timer of the committee, I did remember that group, and I believe that she served well.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Councilwoman Valani.
No, nothing for me.
Okay. Next applicant is Charles Terrell. Mr. Terrell has lived in Berkley for 35 years. He is unemployed, but volunteers a lot. According to Mr. Terrell, he has extensive education, training, and experience in finance, accounting, procurement, human resources, and ethics. He was a candidate for city council in 2017, 2019, and 2021. He's been on the tree board for over 20 years. He's a Berkley Days volunteer, and he also volunteers for various events at Shrine and Our Lady of La Salette parishes. Councilmember Valani, anything that you would like to add that I perhaps missed?
No, good history of involvement.
Councilmember Baker?
Likewise, I appreciate the engagement.
Okay, thank you. Our next applicant is Joel Olferts. Mr. Olferts has lived in Berkley for 21 years. He's applied to, but has not, excuse me, been appointed to the Zoning Board of Appeals, Environmental Advisory Committee, and the Planning Commission. He's an engineer for Jacobs Technology, Inc. In his outline of his qualifications for this appointment, Mr. Olford states that he's very familiar with city council agendas, the master plan, capital improvement, budget, and zoning. He also is familiar with local ordinance and building codes, and he has an interest in conservation and wastewater management. He currently writes and applies automotive standards and says that this requires working directly with suppliers to settle disputes. Councilmember Valani, anything you would like to add?
Do we have any feedback or any knowledge of the fact that he's applied for several councils but not?
He has not been
Been
appointed
appointed?
to any of those boards, to my knowledge. Councilmember Baker?
That's the same. Yeah, I appreciate his interest and his time here, and certainly his familiarity with some of the basic tools that we use on council could be helpful.
Thank you. And our last applicant is Maria Ward. Ms. Ward has been a Berkley resident for more than 65 years. And she states that she's delighted to live in a safe, clean, and ever-growing community. She's had the privilege, her words, of serving Berkley over several years in a number of ways. She served on the Bicentennial Commission, which later transitioned to the Historical Commission. She served on the Local Officers Compensation Commission. In the 1980s, when the council decided to establish a Board of Appeals, she was appointed to the initial board, left due to some work commitments, but always hoped to return. She was recently fortunate enough to be reappointed to that board, and she enjoys giving back to the community, which she states has given so much to her. She has extensive experience working for and with municipal governments, and she understands how important it is to serve the community and its residents. She cites her strengths as consensus building, communications, and a willingness to think outside the box. I would also add marketing to her skill set from looking at her extensive resume. Councilmember Valani, anything you'd like to add?
Just a question. It looks like she had a lot of service earlier in her career. Do we have anything specifically for the community in more recent years?
The only thing and correct me if I'm wrong, the only thing I see right now is Board of Appeals.
Right, she currently sits on the ZBA.
Yep, thank you, same question.
Okay, great.
Oh, so she is currently
She is,
on the
yes.
ZBA. Okay.
Yes.
The way I read it, it was that she was not on there. Okay.
She was, stepped away, but was reappointed.
Oh, I was fortunate. Okay. Got it.
Okay,
Perfect. Thank you.
great, yes. Are you good?
I think so.
You good? Mr. Bogdan, I believe we've finished our tabulation.
Okay. I'll take the score sheets.
Okay. And do you,
Okay.
oh,
That's
got
what
it.
yeah.
There we go.
We'll figure it out.
He's a smart man.
He is.
Well, following our previous procedures, I will attach a letter to these, and then they'll show up as A, B, and C
Okay.
on the score sheet. So this won't be applied to any one single individual,
Gotcha.
but they are a public record.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
If I may, I'd just like to
Yes.
again thank all the residents who applied for this
Mhm.
position. I thought, it's a big step to throw your hat into the ring, and I appreciate their willingness and desire to serve and to be a part of our community in more ways than they already are. So very appreciative of this process and to get to have an opportunity to learn more about some great people in our city.
Definitely. Thank you, Councilmember Baker.
Thank you.
Echo Councilmember Baker's comments about how nice it is to see such a broad pool of applicants, and would also just like to offer a friendly reminder to any of the applicants that are not currently serving on a board that we almost always have openings on any of the boards at any given time. So I know, as all of you do for sitting as liaisons for this board, it's always great to get enthusiastic people. So would definitely encourage them to take that opportunity as well if they're not selected for council.
Thank you. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Support. Thank you. Ms. Mitchell, will you please call the roll?
Valani,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Dean.
Yes. The special meeting of the City Council AdHoc Subcommittee, Thursday, December 1st, is officially adjourned.